PGE is proud to co-own and co-manage the Pelton Round Butte Hydro Project with the Confederated Tribes of the Warm Springs Reservation of Oregon. Together, we're working to restore wild fish in the Deschutes River Basin while providing enough clean, emissions-free energy to power more than 150,000 homes. In 1964, Oregon's tallest dam was completed at the confluence of three Central Oregon rivers, Deschutes, Crooked, and Metolius. Innovative efforts to attract migrating salmon and steelhead to downstream access were limited by surface currents on Lake Billy Chinook, the reservoir behind the 440-foot-high dam.
What we needed to do was change the way the water moves through Lake Billy Chinook. So this actually is functioning two ways. It's helping attract the young salmon and steelhead so we can collect them. And then it's also allowing us to return the water temperature of the lower Deschutes River, the cycle of how that warms and colds, back to about what it would be if the dams weren't here.
Relicensing the Pelton Round Butte Hydro Project 50 years later was an opportunity to improve habitat and help migrating fish find their way. It was a collaborative effort between licensees, government agencies, and interested groups, combining the latest and best science and engineering. The result, a first-of-its-kind passage and water temperature management facility. In 2009, the Selective Water Withdrawal Tower opened downstream passage for juvenile salmon and steelhead for the first time in more than half a century. In 2011, fish that had earlier been collected by the facility, then trucked and released below the hydro project to continue their trip to the ocean, returned as adults to spawn and complete their life cycles. The unique structure had performed as imagined. The returning fish became ambassadors to innovation. But there was still another story to tell.
So when people think about fish passage, they think about this big structure right here that's used for collecting the juveniles. But there's also so many tiny projects that are so critical because it opens up habitat for these juveniles and for adults to eventually migrate up to and spawn.
But the upstream habitat spanned hundreds of square miles, owned or managed by myriad interests and agencies, farms, irrigation districts, private creeks, public and reservation lands.
People started talking. It's as simple as that. There's watershed councils up here. The various state and federal agencies came up with a plan on how we were going to start reintroducing fish up here. From that, it has just blossomed into just an excellent project that is going to pay huge dividends in the future.
Through the Pelton Round Butte Fund, we also help local watershed, agriculture, and conservation groups improve and protect habitat, both in water and on land. To date, we've supported 45 partner projects in the Deschutes Basin. One of those is the restoration of Camp Polk Meadow on Deschutes Creek.
Here at Camp Polk, like many places up and down the West Coast, there was a lot of manipulation of the stream channel after the 1964 flood. And in Deschutes Creek, roughly 18 miles of the 40-mile length of the creek were channelized back in the 1960s. But in doing that, a lot of the habitat, a lot of the wetland areas, a lot of the riparian habitat was lost in that channelization effort. These types of restoration projects take a long time to put together. After the Land Trust acquired the property in 2000, the Land Trust really began thinking about restoring this area, and in roughly 2004, the Watershed Council came in. We connected with the Deschutes National Forest and we put together a team to begin designing the restoration project.
Here it comes. Starting to fill in the historic stream channel right now.
In February 2012, the creek found its way home again.
You can hear the ice cracking.
Yeah.
To the north and downstream of the hydro projects, Shatai Creek on the Warm Springs Reservation shows that restoring stream beds to their former serpentine flows does work. Extensive renovation was recently made possible through a partnership with Portland General Electric and the Confederated Tribes of the Warm Springs Reservation of Oregon. Fish are again finding homes in the shelter of trees, boulders, and bends in the stream.
Basically, I'm seeing 4- to 5-fold increase in spawning use of the channel that we created by red band and steelhead and fall chinook. We are seeing use of our thermal refuge and off-channel wetlands by juvenile salmonids of all species. So we're catching bull trout in our refuge sites. We're catching chinook. We're catching steelhead and red band in our thermal refuge sites.
So when the fish come back, I think the first thing I think many folks in this sector are going to do is celebrate the success both down at the dam in terms of the up and downstream passage, and then here in the tributaries where we're actually seeing the habitat that can support these fish.
We've got generations that just have never seen, never experienced a small stream chock full of these large fish. And for our kids to be able to experience that, it helps connect people to a place.
The vision that this is possible was just a vision, and it was kind of a hard sell 20 years ago. And it's now reality, and it came just in time at the end of my career for me to go out smiling and watching from the sidelines now as the younger generation has this as a reality, and to continue to protect these fish runs and to make them into what they could be.